Thank you, everyone who's listening. This is the first official episode of Mortgages. Let's Get Real with myself, Kim Negron, a podcast combining lifestyles, real life, and mortgages into a fun, brief episode. I'm very excited for my first guest today, Jon Templeton of the Templeton Group at Keller Williams Realty here in South Burlington, Vermont, on this sunny day. Jon has been a realtor since 2011. He sold over $150 million in property since he started in 2011. He was Rookie of the Year for the Northwestern Vermont Board of Realtors in 2021. He has been featured in Top Agent magazine. His emphasis and the team emphasis is on cultivating client experience that exceeds expectations, and builds long-term relationships. He has extensive knowledge of the Vermont market with selling homes, new builds, multifamily, and commercial. Welcome, Jon.
Thank you.
Yeah,
happy to be here.
Good. It's so good to be talking to you. Full disclosure, I've known Jon for a while, and I'm glad that you're my first guest. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah. So we're just going to kind of jump in with some questions, and feel free to, ask questions back if you wish. But so the first question I have for the viewers or the audience is how did you get started in realty? And was it something you always wanted to do? Can you give us a little bit of a background on that?
Totally. It's so funny because I've been asked this like 4 times in the last week, and I probably haven't talked about it in the last 5 years. So interesting how this is just coming up everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So my dad's in real estate. My mom's in property management. I kind of grew up around that whole lifestyle. And, after school, I would kind of go on some showings with my dad and be part of that for a couple. And then, nights and weekends, sometimes I'm tagging along with my mom on showings for a rental. So just growing up around it, and then my dad building several homes as I was growing up, I just found an interest in new construction. And I think just being around it, I kind of fell in love with it. So, I kind of knew at a certain point, it's definitely something I wanted to get into, something that I wanted to make a career out of, and, something I'm passionate about, which always helps, waking up in the morning.
Yeah, sure. Definitely helps. They always say you don't want a job, you want to be able to do something you like, and it doesn't feel like work, right? Although
exactly.
I'm sure sometimes it does.
We have all those.
There are days. That's right.
Yeah.
So did you go right from high school to doing this, or did you go to school first or anything like that in between? Or did you just know?
I took a little time off. Actually, after high school, I moved out to California for a bit with some friends. Took some time to just kind of relax and regroup after the whole school. And then when I came back, I worked for a local landscaping company. I was a foreman for the maintenance crew for a while. And I did that for a couple of years while I started working on getting my license. I had the whole limiting belief when I was younger of I'm too young to get into real estate. So honestly, I wish I had got in earlier because I held myself back a little bit, just waiting until I felt like the time was right. But you don't need to be a certain age to get your license. So let's just get it over with. And when I was mowing lawns, I was had my audio just listening to all the real estate classes. So I was kind of just double dipping as far as my day job and also training to get my license for real estate.
That's so good. Could you mind if I ask how old you were when you got your license?
I was 20.
Wow.
And then pretty much 21. A month later, I turned 21.
That's amazing. It's funny that you say you waited longer because you thought you were too young. And yet in my mind, and I think a lot of the audience mind, 20 is super young. So I don't think you waited too long. And you've done amazing. I mean, you really have skyrocketed since you started. I remember when you first started. So, totally. It's been really fun from my perspective to watch you kind of grow to where you are now with you and all the team and what you've done. It's been a great accomplishment. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me about your experiences in terms of either personally or with your business in terms of the mortgage process itself. I just want to get a little bit into the mortgage piece. So I know full disclosure, I've done your mortgage before a couple times, but we've worked together on different deals. Tell me over the years how you felt it's changed, whether there were, for the good, for the worse, sometimes not so good, not so bad.
I dislike getting a mortgage and going through that process, but let's be honest, it's not that bad. I've done it enough times now to know what to expect. And obviously working with a great lender like yourself is what makes it not a bad process. Because I've seen, and so have you, because you've picked up some of my deals and picked up the pieces and made it work, but a bad lender just creates a bad experience and it drags on the process, and it just, everyone in the transaction feels that. And so the reason why I feel like getting a mortgage actually hasn't been that bad is because I've had the right people on my side. And where it really just goes wrong is when you're working with the wrong lender, that just doesn't know what they're doing. But thankfully, working with you, like, it has been a smooth process. And I really personally don't have many complaints on getting a mortgage. Do you ask for a lot of documents? Sure. But, do I want the money? Yeah.
I love that. I love that attitude because, Jon, you have no idea. And I'll tell you, anybody listening, as a lender, as the originator who's trying to get this person to help buy their home, and you ask them for things that, it's a lie. It can be annoying. Let's just be real. I'm not, that's what this is about, being real about mortgages. Yeah. It is not sometimes fun when you ask for a bank statement, then you don't know why you're asking for a bank statement. We tell you we need it because of XYZ, but I can't tell you how many people are uncooperative, and it becomes frustrating because we're like, wait, I'm not buying this house, you are, and I'm trying to help you, so help me help you. So it was always great working with you too. So I get where you're coming from, and I appreciate your compliment as well. So thank you for that. But yeah, I know that for those listening as well, Jon is obviously, or maybe not obviously, self-employed buyers, or anybody who's trying to get a mortgage, either refinancing or buying a home. It's more of a challenge. It has definitely been more of a challenge during COVID. I don't think you have done any loans during COVID yourself personally, right, Jon? Right.
No.
Well, yeah, it's been a little more of a challenge because things changed, but we're coming out of that, and we'll be on the other side of that, and it'll be fine. But definitely there's more paperwork involved with self-employed buyers. I would agree with that. So
yeah, and I don't know the difference. So, hopefully it's a little easier for the W-2, but at the end of the day, if you want the money, you're just going to have to get all the documents.
Love it. So true. That's gonna be my new bumper sticker.
Kind of like when we're at closing and there's those buyers that want to sit there and be like, let me look at every little paper. And I look at them like, you guys want to buy this house today? Because none of this paperwork is going to change, right? Like, you either sign it and you get the keys, or you make a fuss out of this and we walk out with empty-handed.
That's a very good point. It's so true. All the documents are the way they are. No one can change them, and people do that. Yeah, I get it. And I do get they're wanting to know every piece of it, but sometimes it can be difficult and drag out a little. to be nice about it. So what should buyers do, anyone listening do, if they want to buy a home? What should be their first step?
Honestly, their first step should be to contact an agent, because an agent is going to help them with a number of things. Buyers don't know what they don't know. And when they meet with an agent, they're going to be able to discover everything that they don't know. They're going to be more prepared. They're going to be able to be told that they need to get pre-approved before they start going out there and looking at homes, right? Yep. So they're going to basically get all the steps of the process laid out and be told exactly what they need to do. There's so many buyers that we talk to and they're like, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. And it's like, then just meet with us and we'll tell you what to do. It's simple as that.
Right. What objection handling do you do? Because I'm sure this comes up when someone says, I don't need a realtor. I hear it all the time. I can tell you what I tell them, but you tell me what you would say.
I mean, I come from curiosity, and I first want to know why they feel like they don't need a realtor, right? Because unless we understand that, we really can't help them out. I find being in Vermont, there's a lot of, do-it-yourselfers that just want to kind of take charge. That being said, especially in this market, like they need an agent to not only guide them in the right process, but also to really tell them exactly what they need to do. And if they want to actually get a property, rather than just trying to like figure it out and fly all over the place, like maybe in a year something will stick. But if they're serious, getting an agent just makes sense, especially on the buy side. It's paid for by the seller. Yep. And if you have the right person, they're gonna do exactly what you're asking them to do, which is to find you a house.
Yeah, no, I agree. Specifically buyers, I would agree. It baffles me when they don't want to work with a realtor. I'm like, you don't have to pay them, but I think a lot of people have a misconception about that. So it's good for us to talk about it, that if you are a buyer and you work with a realtor to help you buy a home, you're not going to pay that realtor. The seller will pay that realtor. So
yeah,
that's just something I usually throw out there, because if it is a nightmare for a lender when they don't work with realtors. Most of the time it is, unless they happen to be some whiz, but that's not what they do for a living. There's a reason that you do what you do for a living. There's a reason I do what I do for a living, and the reason they do what they do for a living. So let's all work together and make this all work, right? I agree.
Smooth transaction.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's tough right now. The market's tight. It's terrible sometimes with the inventory. It's really, really tough right now. And I know it's that way across the country. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully it'll, here in the Northeast, open up a little once the weather gets a little better, I'm hoping. But
yeah, we'll see.
It's typical that it does, but you're right. Who knows with what's going on, right?
I think we just have so many buyers that are left over from summertime and springtime that are coming into the winter, still searching aggressively. And, inventory being less than 2 months, like it's bound to just kind of stay like this for the next year, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But what's the best approach that you would say someone can have in order to actually have a tiny chance of getting their offer accepted? I mean,
isn't that so sad? We're like tiny chance.
I know.
I mean, I think starting the process sooner than they originally thought, maybe. Like if you're thinking about buying a house, starting the process in April, like start it now. Like get ahead of it. Give yourself time. And I think, coming down to like having an A team, right? Like building your team of people, your agent, your lender, your home inspector, like getting people teed up and ready to go so that when that perfect house does come on, you're moving quickly at that point.
That's a great thought. I agree. The A team example is so true. And it is extremely important, especially in this environment. You want to be able to, as an example, let's say you have somebody who wants to offer something now because it has to be offered now. Like you have to have an offer immediately. Right. You want to make sure your lender is going to get you that letter right then. You want to make sure inspectors can come fairly quickly. I agree completely with that. That's a good point. What is something you wish more of your clients knew when they were looking for a property?
What they want, what they actually really want for a house. No, I mean, I think there's a piece of that. Yeah. I mean, but some people, do know exactly what they want, and other people just need to self-discover a little bit. Like they need to go out there and see places to actually get an idea of what, they're not looking for. But I also feel like there's been more couples that have not been on the same page, which has also made it in this inventory market, difficult. Just difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Someone's got to give, Sometimes that conversation is not happening until like you're physically in the property, and that's just a little bit harder.
Yeah. That makes it a little more difficult. And it's, especially like you said, in the market we're in now, where there's not a lot of inventory, you don't have a lot of time to make these decisions. Like, you have, 20 minutes sometimes to go in and decide whether you want that house just because there's other people who are going to go look at it.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
It is crazy.
I think 2 days ago, I was in this little I think it was a store up in Island Pond in the Kingdom. And I saw a real estate magazine, and it's like, it brought me back to those days where like we actually had like large real estate magazines where all the inventory was in there and everything. This one had like 2 pages, and I'm pretty sure like all of the listings listed in there were probably
already under contract. Yeah.
Yeah. Just can't even keep up with
it is so funny to think about that, because you're right. It used to be, especially as a consumer, it would be so fun to look through those magazines on the weekend and be like, oh, I'd love to go look at one of these houses. I mean, really, those don't even exist anymore because of that. You're absolutely right.
No.
And another reason you need a realtor, because a realtor also has an inside track on stuff that might be coming on the market that they don't even know about yet, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we've helped so many people in this past year buy homes that have been off market, whether it be amongst like an agent in our company that's like, hey, you got something coming up and it fits the criteria, or we're just actively, we're in the business. So we're just always talking to people, trying to drum up like, who wants to sell, who wants to buy. And it oftentimes, especially right now, like we oftentimes have a buyer that works for someone that's looking to sell. So there's been a lot of off-market deals happening.
Yeah, another good reason for that. Well, one last question for you is, in your eyes, what sets you apart from the rest of the realtors in the market?
I would say the biggest thing is that myself and my team are just not willing to give up. And I think in a market, especially like this, and really in any market, because it all comes down to the same, but we're not willing to accept no for an answer. Like, you want to be in a house by June. I understand there's no inventory, but we're not just going to accept that. We're going to do a totally different approach. We're going to make sure that we are meeting your goals and deadlines and making that happen. And, that's just going and being a little bit more proactive and spending more time on certain things to make that happen, but really just kind of never giving up on our clients and making sure that we're making it a reality for them still.
I love it. I would agree. I love that a lot. Thank you so much, Jon, for coming on. I really appreciate it. How can, tell me a little bit, give a little pitch about yourself and your business, or how people can reach you.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are looking to buy, sell, invest, you want a career in real estate, give me, go on our website, TempletonVermontHomes.com, TempletonVTHomes.com, or give us a shout, text message 238-1323, whatever works best for you guys. But always looking to have conversations related to real estate and help people out, especially if you're even thinking, 5 years from now. Like, there's no reason why we can't start talking and meeting and get to know each other.
Love it. And call me too, because you got to get pre-approved. You can reach me too. 802-846-4646. Jon, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. This has been the first episode of Mortgages, Let's Get Real, with myself, Kim Negron, and our first guest today was Jon Templeton. Thank you all for listening and watching, and we will see you next time.